Alright, so the stock market has had a pretty rough day. At the time of recording this video, we have seen the FTSE 100 drop over 2% in a single trading day, making it the biggest sell-off of this year in that market. And the US market as well has just opened, but it looks like it's going to be following the same pattern. But what does all of this mean for our personal investment? Should we be panic selling all of our stocks right now and getting out of the market? Should we just be sitting and holding tight and waiting for this storm to blow over? Or should we even be buying more of those companies that we currently invest in? Do not worry, I'm going to be covering everything in today's video. I'm going to start off by talking about exactly why I think we are seeing a pullback in today's market, and then what I'm going to actually do is talk about 3 different things that I think you should be doing and things that I have done today and the moves that I have made within my own personal portfolio. So if you are looking forward to this video, drop it a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, of course, and let's jump straight into it. Okay, so as we know, with the stock market, some days it goes up, some days it goes down, but normally this goes up and down in very, very minimal percentages, almost to the point where you don't really recognize anything, and then over time you always see this upward trend. However, today we have seen a much sharper decline in the market, and something like this normally does come with an explanation, so let's jump straight into that. And just taking a look at both the news sources and just taking a look at the different stocks in today's market, it looks like one of the biggest drivers of this market turn is the fears of a COVID 2.0. Now, I'm pretty sure you have seen in the news about this new Delta variant, and this looks like it is the actual main driver for this market downturn. One thing to note here in the UK, today is meant to be our Freedom Day, where pretty much all of the restrictions have been lifted off, and just going out personally myself, it doesn't feel like anything has changed. If anything, because of all this fear about a new variant coming, there seems to be more fear out there with more people wearing masks even outside right now. So I guess the thing to say is, for those people that were expecting the Freedom Day to be a big catalyst for the stock market to go up, maybe that could have been something that has happened, but this has definitely been dampened down about news and more so much fear about this new variant coming to the UK and across the world. Now, one thing that I definitely didn't want to do in this video is just share different news articles about the fear growing about a second variant. One thing that I did want to do, however, is actually show you that I believe this is definitely fear through the actual different stocks in the stock market. Now, just taking a look here, what I have actually highlighted is 2 different stocks. First one that you can see here on the screen is going to be Moderna. This is actually one of the latest vaccines that have been recently approved that is being distributed worldwide right now. Of course, this is a very much a stock that gets benefited from COVID and the fear of COVID. And as you can see, during today's market crash somewhat, or whatever we want to call it, this stock is actually doing very well. It is currently up over 6% today, which is absolutely amazing considering that 98% of the other companies are down. And the other stock that I want to share for you is actually Peloton. Now, this is a completely different stock to Moderna, but this is also another stock that has performed very, very well during those lockdown periods. If you didn't know what Peloton is, it's basically an exercise company that sells equipment to allow you to exercise at home and you don't have to go to the gym. And as you can see, this one is as well up over 6% today in what should be a really big downturn for most companies. And the reason why I have highlighted these 2 stocks here is because these 2 stocks have been one of the best performers during that lockdown period. There was a lot of people buying home exercise equipment, and of course the vaccine approvals has sent Moderna stock through the roof as well. Now, if we actually go ahead and take a look at some of the recovery stocks in this market, if you didn't know what a recovery stock in this market is, it's basically the companies that are putting a lot of high hopes on the economy opening up again for their businesses to thrive. Now, this could be companies like Disney, this could be a lot of the travel companies, so the airlines. Of course, one of the big notable ones are the cruise lines, Carnival Cruises being obviously a big notable one there. If we actually go and take a look at these, they are actually massively down today, more than the general market. As you can see here, like I just mentioned, we now have Carnival Cruises on the screen, which is down to $19.70 roughly, depending on when I can get this screenshot, and that is down over 5% today. We also have Walt Disney, which I've spoken about multiple times on this channel about how they are putting a lot of hopes about their parks opening up. That one has taken a little bit of a hit today. Now, we're not saying that all of these companies are going to shut down because COVID's going to take over the world again, but one of the big drivers in today's markets is investors going into the market with that fear. And then just one more, just to represent the travel and airline stocks today, we've got Delta, which is also over 4.5% down. And of course, this is very much because people are worried that travel restrictions are going to start coming into place again because of this new variant. So yeah, just taking a summary of the stocks that I've looked at here, how they're performing in today's market based on the news that is coming out as well. It very much looks like people are starting to be fearful of a new wave of cases coming into our global economy, and there has just been a little bit of a reaction in the market today. Now, whether this is going to continue throughout the week, I do not know that. No one knows that. But this is just my theory and my predictions as to why we're seeing this pullback today, just by looking at the stock market itself without actually shoving a load of just different news articles in front of your face. All right, so we've established the reason, in my personal opinion, as to why we think the stock market is pulling back today. Let's talk about some of the things that you should actually do. Number one, and this one is an absolute must, avoid at all costs looking at your portfolio today. We of course know it's going to be down. We've seen what the market looks like. We've seen all of our stocks and they are all in the red. The likelihood is your stock portfolio is going to be down today. There is absolutely no point looking at it and creating that unwanted fear in your own portfolio, which could lead you to panic selling, which leads me to number two. Do not panic sell. This is not a time to be selling any kind of stocks. Did you know that panic selling in times of fear like this is the number one reason as to why people lose money in the stock market? And a lot of this comes from people checking their portfolio, seeing how much money they are personally down and thinking maybe this stock investing or this whole investing game isn't for me. This is where they sell up and then they get out and they probably never invest again and leave horror stories to their kids or grandchildren or anything like that about investing. It's because they panic sell. This is not a time to be panic selling, especially in a market like this. And as I always say, if you are investing into solid companies that have great financials, great business models, and companies that you trust and believe in for the long run, then just little pullbacks like this is going to be such a small dent in the long run. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about, and a question that I've already been asked 3 times today over on my Instagram account, follow me over there, I'll put it up here if you haven't already, is should we be buying the dip on a day like today? And this is basically what I have done. So basically the first thing that I have done today is topped up one of my ETF funds. This is a FTSE 250 fund that is down over 2% today. The ticker is VMID. It's a Vanguard fund and it's the most down it's been this year. So I thought it's only right to top this fund up. I was actually scheduled to top this fund up in about 15 days time, but I thought I'd bring it forward, do a bonus top up and still top up in about 15 days time anyway. I'm just using this advantage to get more shares for a cheaper price. And then pretty much that is all I have done today. Now, one thing that people may be questioning is, Christos, on this channel you always say you should be buying the stocks when they go down, when there is fear in the market, and whilst that is correct, I haven't decided to do that today. And this is because of one reason, and it's simply just a theory that I have, and it's very much going back to May time and taking a look at when we saw the inflation prices come in, and we saw pretty much a week's worth of pullbacks in the stock market. And I want to refer you to this chart here, which is the VIX ticker, which is actually the volatility index, also known as the fear index. And what we saw back in May when we saw those inflation prices come in, as you could see, we saw a big spike in that fear index. And what actually happened during that time was that during that week of all of that bad news coming in, we saw the stock market actually continue to drop drop throughout the week. And my big theory here is, as you can see today, we now have another spike in this index, meaning that there is a lot of fear in the market, is that I personally believe that this could continue for the next couple of days. Now, the first thing that I don't want to do is throw all of my money into the stock market for it just to crash even more the day after. Of course, you can go and put a little bit in, and then if it dips, you can put a little bit more in, and you can continually average down. But I'm just taking the personal gamble that I think the stock market is going to go down a little bit more this week. I don't think this is going to be a major crash, let's get that straight, but I do think the stock market is going to go down a little bit more this week, and I'm probably looking at either tomorrow or Wednesday where I'm going to start shifting a little bit more money in. Once again, I'm not going to be piling all my money in as well, because you don't want to just pile all your money into stocks, and then if it was to crash majorly, maybe in a week or a month, who knows when the stock market is going to crash again, we aren't going to have any cash to actually invest into these stocks at a lower price. So what I'm going to be doing is being very cautious on the cash that I'm going to be putting into the market over the next couple of days, but I do personally believe there is some kind of buying opportunity here. The only fear I really have for investors that have been kind of waiting for the crash, you know, those kind of people that have been waiting years for it, is that they see a dip like this and they think this is their opportunity to ship all of their money in. And whilst that is sometimes a good strategy, it's not the safest strategy. I always recommend just putting in a little bit each day over time and averaging it out. Dollar cost average it. You will always be better in the long run, and it is a much safer strategy to take. So if you are looking to buy some stocks in this kind of downturn, then my best suggestion is to definitely not ship all of your money into one stock or in at one time. But just putting all of this aside, all we are experiencing in the market right now and why it is crashing is simply because people are getting scared over different news articles that are coming out about different world events. This has happened before, it's going to happen again in the future, and my best advice to anyone is to not panic. Other than that, the only thing that I do want to mention in this video, if you haven't started investing yet and you may be looking at this and thinking it's a great opportunity to get some money into the stock market, then make sure you go ahead and sign up to FreeTrade, which is a completely free trading platform. And if you actually deposit £1 onto the platform and sign up through my link down below, you'll actually get a free share worth anything up to £200. Other than that, like the video if you found it valuable, leave me a comment down below with any questions that you have, and I shall catch you guys in the next one. Take care.